Hey, what's going on, guys? Josh from Trailbill, and we are on our way to an ATV and off-road vehicle park up in Tigerton, Wisconsin. Got my stepson along with us here, and we're going to be having quite the adventure as we take about an hour and a half to get there with the Scout. I had some things to button up on it, but so far so good. We're about 15-20 minutes into the trip, and it's been pretty good. So right after we checked in, we went ahead and met up with the crew who's at Brent's campsite, and then of course had to air down the tires on the Scout before we could get going. And once we were aired down, we jumped in the Scout and hit the trails. So on the way to the trails, we ended up seeing a whole bunch of friends of ours, and so gave them a good salute and see you out on the trails. So it was quite interesting because once we hit the trails, they have them aligned so that it's on odd days you go one way around the park, and on even days you go the opposite way around the park, and they give you maps. So we did get a little confused as we were cruising around the trails. And the other thing too, we noticed at the park that it was quite a bit wet. You know, we try to do our best to stay out of the mud because we don't like getting our equipment all covered in mud, full of mud, and then it gets in the seals and the differentials and everything else. So we did our best to not use any throttle throughout that day, especially in areas that were low-laying areas and wetlands. So those sort of areas we just cruised over. I tell you, these BFGs are absolutely incredible. There's no way I would have walked right up that with my IROD. Not without wheel speed anyway. Huge shout out to BFG for making such an awesome tire. One of our friends, Pat, did get a little bit stuck in there, just having a little bit lower ground clearance. His front axle got caught up on a rock, so he ended up hooking up a winch line to get himself out of there. And that was the same area that I had just come through. And after we got Pat unstuck, I went ahead and jumped in the Scout and turned the key, and as soon as the engine fired, I heard a ton of not normal noise and racket and clanging and clunking around in the engine, so I killed it right away, jumped out, popped the hood open, and ended up finding that the threaded rod that goes through the air cleaner and attaches to the air cleaner nut had actually broke off of the carburetor. I was able to start the engine, and that threaded rod must have worked itself through the valves, because you could definitely tell there was a valve issue, but there was no more loud clanking and clunking around in the lower part of the engine. So I was able to start the Scout, drive it, and take it back to the camp slowly but surely. And then once we got back to Brent's camp, popped the hood open again, took off the valve covers, and then took off the rockers on top of the heads to see if I had any bent push rods, and ended up finding one of the push rods was bent. So diagnosed at least what valve was causing the issue, and put the rockers back on, put the valve covers back on, and ended up limping the Scout over to a friend's cabin that was up in the same area, and left the Scout there for a few days until Brent and I could come back up with a truck and a trailer and pick the Scout up, because obviously, as you guys have seen, I drove the Scout to the off-road park, but had to have it trailered home.
All right, guys, so what we just saw is Pat's Land Cruiser here going up this pretty steep rock ledge climb, and what ended up happening is the one of the motor mounts broke and caused the transmission line to pull out from wherever it was connected to in there, and started leaking transmission fluid all over the place. So got it winched out, got it up out of the way, parked it over here in the weeds for now, and we're gonna head back to camp, eat some more, and grab some lunch, and then come back and hit it harder.
All in all, it was a really good day. It was a really fun day. We had a great time off-roading. The park was absolutely awesome, except for it being a little bit wet, but after the summer it'll dry out a little bit. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys back out on the trails.